Welcome to part 2 tonight. As you know, David Hall has been so gracious in driving from Manti each week. And just to make an announcement, next week he will be in Arizona. He's traveling Wednesday again, so Thursday and Friday, if you know anyone in that area, make sure you take advantage of David Hall. I will tell you, I met David a couple of years ago, and I am as excited today as I was 2 years ago. When you meet someone of his caliber, to know the knowledge he has and this amazing, I call it a machine, that he has built and transformed this entire industry into what we now have at Q Sciences, the Cellerciser. If you knew how world-renowned he is, he's really spoken for some very large companies, some very, quote, celebrities, and he's been there to help them with their health as well. And please join me tonight in welcoming right here to corporate headquarters, David Hall, who will introduce the Cellerciser for us.
Thank you, Darren. You know, when I met Darren a couple years ago, I was looking for some people that I could work with that had a common goal or an objective, and that was promoting health and fitness at the cellular level. And it basically asked the question, how healthy can we become? It wasn't trying to sell a product for a product's sake. It was literally trying to build people, building business. And we shared that vision. It still took me a little over a year and a half to say, hey, okay, I'm going to do this. I like these people. And I do. I more than like them. I love them. I really do. They have the same vision, quality of character. They care about people. And that's why I travel up from Manti. You know, I take an hour and a half drive to come up here to help you build your business. How many people are presently involved with some kind of an exercise health program? Yeah. How many Cellerciser? How many have never heard of a Cellerciser? There is somebody. There's a few here, people right here. Okay, all right. Well, good. And we're going to be talking a little bit to you. But let me ask you a question. Do you presently, are you involved with any kind of an exercise program? No?
Should be.
Okay. Do you have anything in your health and fitness that you would like to improve? Everything. Okay. What would you give me some examples? What would you like to accomplish?
I would like to burn the excess fat that I have, obviously, from golf.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's hold on to that thought. How many want to lose weight? Okay. What's the fastest way we lose weight besides not eating? Exercise. What's the fastest? That's work? Okay. What if it could be fun?
It doesn't work to not eat because your body stores it.
That's right. Metabolism slows down, and although you can lose weight, but you can also gain it much faster when you start eating again because the metabolism is adapted. That's true. But we want to lose weight. We want to use the biggest muscles of the body, don't we? The biggest muscles have the greatest command to give us the fastest results. We're going to talk about how to lose weight. I've got people. Dennis lost 98 pounds in 6 months. Joan, who's involved with Q Sciences, by the way, lost 90 pounds in about 9 months. I've got, you may have heard of Mike Thompson. He's a state legislator attorney here in Utah, and lost 68 pounds in 6 months. So we can lose weight, and we'll talk a little bit about that. What else would you like to accomplish?
After losing that weight, I'd like to gain strength and bulk.
Yeah.
Look good.
Okay. Bulk and look good. That's interesting. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about strength, how we build strength, and there's more than one way we can do it. So we'll talk about it. Who else has something you want to accomplish in your physical and health? Yes.
Be able to walk around Walmart. Period. And not have to use their little wheelchair thing.
Okay. For balance reasons.
And degenerative arthritis.
And
be able to walk.
Yeah. Okay, arthritic conditions, often we get these poor circulation, little white blood cells get in between the joints, they eat up metabolic garbage and waste, they grow and they can't get back out, they explode in there, and so some more get in there and they eat the metabolic, they grow, they can't get out, they explode, and you get this compound problem within the bones and the joints. And it's so important that we increase circulation. We're going to talk about how to do that. And then we'll talk about balance. Anybody here born with balance? No. There's a reason for that. Yes. Oh, anybody have, you were born with balance? Anybody else have something you want to accomplish? Yes.
Cardio endurance.
Cardio endurance, being able to run around without getting tired and feel good. Okay, we're going to talk about how to build that up too. Build up the mitochondria in the cells, which help to create our energy level and give us more energy naturally. Yes.
Stop having gallbladder attacks.
Stop having. How do you massage the gallbladder to improve a gallbladder's efficiency? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Okay. Who else? Yes.
I'd like to sleep better.
Sleep better. What is it that prevents us from getting to sleep? What's the number one thing that?
Ex-wives?
And what do ex-wives cause? Stress. There you go. It's stress. It's stress. Have you ever looked? You're a good group. Have you ever looked at a baby that's under stress or distress? You see a parent instinctively take a baby, put them over their shoulder, and what do? And what does the baby do? Yeah, they relax. Okay, we're too big to be put over somebody's shoulder. But I am going to show you a way that you can literally have the same effect to get rid of the stress tension, increase circulation, relax the body, so you don't have to toss and turn to do it. Anybody else have anything you want to accomplish? Yes.
After having 5 babies, I have like no core strength at all, and so when I do try to exercise, I always get injured.
Yeah. Core strength is important, working from the inside out, right? Most exercises, they work from the outside in, don't they? Yeah, so we're going to talk about something, a whole different methodology of exercise. Very different. But what I also want to do is be able to help those who are involved. How many people know somebody else that has a health issue, weight loss issue, knee problems, hip problems? How about back problems? You know anybody who's got digestion, elimination issues? Okay, balance issues, stress issues. They would like to feel stronger, healthier, and have more energy. Do you know anybody? If you do, I want you to think of them, write their names down. Brain them because you care about it. Because when I come back and I teach this methodology, it is literally changing lives. When I began back in the late 80s, I was an insurance agent with Mass Mutual in Newport Beach, California. I had a little double chin. I had a little stomach. I was 5'10" and a half. I'm now 5'11" and a quarter. The stomach is gone. I'm 3/4 of an inch taller than I've ever been in my entire adult life. My energy level is soared. My entire physique has changed. And that was doing a program that I was doing about 10 minutes a day just before I went to work. Well, in a month, my wife asked me, she says, "Are you lifting weights? Because my arms look bigger." I said, "No, I'm just playing on this piece of equipment I have." I had dropped a belt notch though, and I took notice. I took it more seriously after I'd been just playing around on this thing for the first month. 6 months later, I had a whole different physique, and I was an insurance agent with Mass Mutual in Newport Beach, California. My insurance agent or clientele began saying, "David, what are you doing?" So I started teaching them. I was enthusiastic. Now, it's been 6 months. I was standing erect. Everything, I was feeling a lot better. And I started teaching them. They started getting results. I was invited to one of my business clients' companies to do a demonstration, which I did. That led to an invitation to a Rotary Club, which led to another Rotary Club, and then another, and then Qantas and Senior Citizen Centers and Lions Clubs. After 3 years of doing that, I woke up one day and I said, "Why am I selling insurance?" And I took this message out to the public and ignited an entire industry. I've turned down half a dozen infomercials because I would not compromise the integrity of the message for the product. And I was given some free good offers. But if you compromise the integrity of the product for the message, then you're not going to get the results. And the whole reason I'm doing this is so that people can get results. So, again, I'm not a bodybuilder at all. We're going to talk about a different kind of strength. But the arms, it's still strong for I'll be 58 this year. But it's, for me to stand here, stick one leg, that's balance. Stick one leg out in front of me, like this. Sit down to the ground. I'm going to do that in a moment, like this. And then stand up again. And it's easy. And it's a strength and balance you do not get from typical exercise. Now, is there anybody here over 7 years old? Is there any? That's right. Good. There's nobody here really over 7 years old. Cells don't get old. They're always replacing themselves. But cells get weak. And when cells get weak, body parts and functions also get weak. The good news is that we can strengthen and improve the efficiency of our cells at any age. When we begin to strengthen and improve the efficiency of our cells, we automatically begin to strengthen and improve the efficiency of our body parts and their functions. So, that's why I'm involved with Q Sciences. We have a product, a whole product line designed to provide your cells, which I suggest are imbued with an intelligence, our cells better than any doctor or health practitioner. They know how to create, maintain, and heal our bodies. So far too often, rather than work with them, we end up working against them. Many times we don't even know that we're doing it. So what we're doing at Q Sciences is saying, hey, if your cells are an intelligence, let's give them what they need. We don't know what it is, but they do. Yeah. Let's give them what they need to do the job they best know how to do. And that's what the Q96 does. It's got the communication devices the cells have to have at the enzymic level to be able to utilize nutrients. You have to have that. You can be eating all these nutrients you want and not be absorbing them, because the cells do not have the communication devices. What are those? Ionic minerals, electrolytes. They're chelated directly into the nutrients within the Q96. That's why people are having such incredible results. The body recognizes and can immediately utilize those nutrients just as if you bit into a peach or an apple. That's unique.
Could you restate that? No, seriously.
Okay. Yeah. Let me come back to it again. I used to teach an entire wellness program, which I am incorporating within Q Sciences, because the philosophy of Q Sciences is the same as what I was teaching before. And so, yeah, understanding the 4 levels, we just don't have the time to go into it today, but we will. We'll do it in the near future. What I'd like to do today is talk a little bit about exercise, Cellerciser, and health and illness. Has anybody ever done a little bit of exercise and they just feel sick afterwards? Yeah, right? Okay. If this line is the demarcation between illness and health, the real question we need to start asking ourselves is, how close to the line are we? Some people feel ill all the time. They're over here. And they want to feel better. So rather than exercise puts the body under stress, which makes them feel worse. So they don't exercise, thinking it's the exercise that makes them feel sick. In reality, we need to start providing for the body, the cells, more effectively so they become more efficient, they become stronger. They only do that when they're stressed or challenged. As we continue to challenge them, they start to respond to the challenge we give them, and they start to become stronger. They start to work more efficiently. So as we move over the line, some people are here, they feel healthy until they exercise, and they feel a little sick. But as we move our health meter further to the right, which is what we want to accomplish, we become healthier. We can deal with the stresses and the challenges that we're going to be subjected to on a day-to-day basis. Now, since we're all made up of cells, about 75 trillion of them, doesn't it stand to reason that if each one of your individual cells were stronger, healthier, and working more efficiently, that your body parts and functions would also be stronger, healthier, and working more efficiently? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, what we're going to share with you tonight is not science fiction. It's science fact. But this isn't the exercise of the past. I call it the exercise of the future. We just make it available to you today. This is exercise at the cellular level. We're all familiar with exercise at the muscular level, aren't we? We've been taught for years, you got to tear down to build up. No pain, no gain. You've heard it before. You've got to sweat to get a good exercise, as if, that's the body's way of just cooling itself down. Or what's another one? You've got to do 20 minutes of aerobic to get a good aerobic activity, as if your cells have watches. Okay? All you have to do is challenge your cells beyond their current capacity. They're going to start to adapt to the challenge you give them. Now, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, doesn't matter to a cell. The cells are challenged, they adapt to the challenge. I'm going to show you a way that you can challenge them more efficiently. But typical exercise, we've been taught, works all these various different muscle groups, body parts, and functions, don't they? Fitness industry loves that definition. There's lots of different body parts and functions and muscle groups that go around, aren't there? You've probably heard of some of these. Many of you have heard me say this. You've heard of the wedges, abdominal boards, rowers, ski toners, porta bike, fitness climbers, stairmasters, health riders, Nordic track, Schwinn airlines, life cycle, life force, stomach crunches, thigh masters, ab blasters, solo flex, treadmill, cyclones, body gyms, solo gyms, torso track, full flex, gazelles. The list goes on and on. You see, as long as we buy in to that methodology, that mentality of exercise, the fitness industry is going to love you. Because every 6 months or so, they're going to find another way of packaging another piece of exercise equipment just a little differently to motivate you to add to your ongoing collection. Because that's how they make their money. And yet the principle upon which every single piece of exercise equipment is based is exactly the same. They're all the same. They all work by applying weight or stress to a certain part, function, or muscle group over and over until they adapt by becoming strong. And all those muscles are made up of what? Cells. So what if, instead of lifting weight away from gravity, you could increase the weight of gravity on every single cell membrane, every muscle throughout your entire body over 100 times a minute, strengthening all your muscles all at the same time, collectively, in a way you cannot do through typical exercise. Reduce body fat. You've got a lot of cells flexing 100 times a minute instead of a few muscle groups. Firm your legs, thighs, hips, and buttocks. Strengthen your arms. Increase agility. Improve balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. Provide an aerobic activity for your cardiovascular or pulmonary system. Rejuvenate your body when you're tired. But it goes well beyond that. This is a program that is now being featured more and more in health magazines, books, and articles as being effective in helping to lower high blood pressure, helping to reverse hardening of the arteries, the number one degenerative disease that we have to deal with, helping to lower elevated cholesterol and triglyceride levels. That stimulates the thyroid, the adrenals, the endocrine system, helps to detoxify the liver, improve kidney circulation, digestion, elimination processes, increases oxygen and blood flow to the brain, and is being used by a number of ophthalmologists today to help revitalize vision. But it goes beyond that. This is a program that, and only one that I know that can claim to be an isometric for toning, but it doesn't tone from the outside in. It tones from the inside out. When muscles get weak, they sag, don't they? What happens to the internal organs when they get weak? Yeah, they drop. You think that's part of the aging process. Cells don't get old. We'll talk about that in a moment. Isometric for toning from the inside out. Lady wrote me beautiful testimonials. She said, David, as I was hitting midlife, I felt like everything was headed south. She says, now that I've been using your program, I feel like everything's headed north again. Isometric. Isotonic, it's weight bearing, but the weight that you are applying to your muscles are not limited to the muscles. It's on the entire muscular and skeletal system. It's to strengthen muscles and bones. It's calisthenic. You can target and focus the effect on specific areas of your body, such as your thighs, your knees, your hips, your waist, your stomach, your arms, and even underneath your chin. It's an aerobic for conditioning, and it's a flexibility program without ever having to stretch. It's a program, the whole thing, this is where it gets interesting, the whole thing can be done in just 10 minutes a day in the convenience of your own home, at the office, or while you travel, and you don't have to change your clothes or break out into a sweat in order to enjoy its benefits. Does all that sound too good to be true? Yes, and it would be if we were talking about the current methodology of exercise, but we're not. We're talking about a whole different methodology. In fact, I don't even like to call it exercise. Everybody say exercise.
Exercise.
Now say Cellerciser.
Cellular.
With Cellerciser, you'll never have to exercise the same way again. A basic understanding of how all exercise affects the body will help us to better understand Cellerciser. I'd like to propose that the common denominator of all exercise is opposing the gravitational pull of the earth or creating some sort of a resistance. If I were to lie down and do push-ups, what is the force that I have to push away from to lift my body up?
Gravity.
Okay, if I'm doing leg lifts, what force do I have to oppose to keep my leg up?
Gravity.
Pull-ups, sit-ups, same thing. We can apply the concept to the accepted aerobic activities of walking, jogging, and running. When I take my center of balance, which is right about here, several years ago I used to go further forward, but as I move that center of balance forward, I feel the force of gravity pulling down on me, causing me to take a step where I land on my nose. We can apply the concept of weightlifting. Weightlifting is simply taking a mass of something and moving it away from gravity over and over. Now, as far as the body is concerned, do you think it cares how sophisticated the equipment is?
No.
It doesn't matter whether it's connected with pulleys, fulcrums, wheels, arms, cables, chains, or rubber bands. See, at the end of the cable, the chain, or the rubber band, you still have the weight or resistance. And it is simply the weight or resistance on the cells over and over that causes the muscles to get bigger and stronger. You see, every time you put weight on a muscle, you cause the cells of that muscle tissue to expand and contract with more weight or stress against the cell membrane over and over. All the cell does in response is fortify its membrane with more protein because it doesn't want to rupture. It doesn't care where the weight comes from. It doesn't care how sophisticated the equipment is. Okay, swimming's a great exercise, except for the chlorine. That kills you. It literally does, just a little bit at a time. But still, and we can talk about that later, but still, what is it that pulls down on the water molecules, creating the density necessary to allow us to move through the water? Gravity. So you see the common denominator then of all exercise is opposing the gravitational pull of the earth or creating some sort of a resistance. If that's the case, then all I really need to do to become stronger is to learn how to stand heavier. Not exactly. But I am going to show you a way that you can stand heavier over 100 times a minute. The key to Cellerciser was given to us as early as 1911 by Albert Einstein. He observed that the human body cannot tell the difference between the forces of acceleration, deceleration, and gravity. To the body, it's simply weight. We understand the force of gravity or have a working knowledge concerning it, but what about the forces of acceleration and deceleration? Anybody here have a sports car? Ever been in one? Yeah, when they step on that accelerator of that sports car, you feel the weight, that's right, pushing your body back into the seat belt. That's weight on the body. Body cells don't know the difference, it's weight. Now when you come around the corner and you see the deer, and you hit the brake or the decelerator, you feel your body being pushed forward into the seat belt. To the body, it's simply weight. Well, for whatever reason, the fitness industry has never harnessed those forces before, and it's probably due to the fact we generally experience the forces of acceleration and deceleration horizontally, don't we? Most of us are not going to be going around town hitting the gas and the brake over and over to create this G-force or weight-bearing activity. We generally experience the force of gravity vertically. But what if we could line the forces of acceleration and deceleration, which we know is also weight, up with gravity and combine three forces working on the body instead of just one? We would have a whole different methodology and a whole different dynamic of exercise. All we would need is a piece of equipment that would allow us to harness all those forces. And guess what?
You brought one with you.
You're right.
Yeah.
I call it my portable gym. Notice it is extremely portable. Somebody literally asked me once, they said, I was at the National Health Federation. I'll never forget it. I was on stage. One of my very first presentations, this guy in the audience looks up at me and says, well, can I, because I told him how portable it was, he said, can I put it in my glove compartment? I remember doing a double take, and I don't know how big's your glove compartment? But I think he meant the trunk. Fit in the trunk of a car, under a bed, behind a door. I take it with me in the overhead luggage van of commercial airlines. This unit's about 9 years old. I have traveled all over the world with it. I take it with me. In fact, the new units look a lot better than this, especially the carrying case. But it holds up quite well. How many people have heard of a rebounder? Okay. When I entered the industry, rebounders were all over the place. And rebounders utilize little tube springs that look just like this. These little tube springs put all the weight on the two ends of the spring. They stretch only a little bit, and then they come to an abrupt stop or jar at the bottom of the stretch. It is so jarring that it can break the spring and damage the person using it. I would never recommend my exercises on a typical rebounder at all, because you're in a compromised position when you come down and land on one of these. My dad was permanently disabled within 1 month of attempting to do my exercises on a typical rebounder. That's how serious they are. Dr. Morton Walker in the Townsend Letter for Doctors, 1995, warned doctors, he said, avoid those units. So when I entered the industry, I introduced the barrel tapered spring. And I had a company that was producing the little tube springs originally make it for me. The larger barrel springs allowed a softer part in the middle of the spring, totally different feel, and allowed the body to decelerate and accelerate without jar. The problem being is that the rest of the industry caught on to it and they started producing tapered spring designs. Well, when the steel in the spring is too weak, then all you do is sink. It doesn't have enough lift. So you're not getting the pumping, the G-forces, the movement up and down, which is the basis of what Cellerciser does for you. So I then introduced the triple-tiered tapered spring, and we patented it. This is a triple-tiered tapered spring. It has a ridge right here, and then another ridge before the last 2 to 3 coils, and it focuses the weight toward the middle of the spring. This is a patented spring design that's made available through Q Sciences. The steel in our spring is so strong, it destroys conventional spring molds. So we had to create a tungsten steel mold just to be able to produce this spring for you. But I want you to try it when you have a chance, because that's what creates the benefit. We're going to talk about that in a moment. To open it, real simple, just unzip it. This is what it looks like. Don't confuse this with a toy. It's not. I'll explain why. Lie the unit on the ground and open it up so it looks kind of like a taco. And then simply pop open the taco. Literally, in less time than it takes me to put on a pair of running shoes, I'm ready to begin Cellercising. Now, many people mistakenly believe they can pick up something like this at a Sears, Kmart, or sporting goods store. And unfortunately, nothing can be further from the truth. It is important you do understand why. Number one, this mat material. This is not made out of canvas, nylon, or plastics like you can find on typical rebounders and mini trampolines. Canvas, nylon, and plastic mats look the same, but the material stretches with the spring. And when the material stretches, your feet have a tendency to sink and pronate every time you land. If you alter the angle of your body and do different movements, your foot without the support can roll on you, and that can cause some serious damage. This mat, in fact, you won't feel very secure on them. They'll feel like they're going to throw you off. This mat material here is made here in the United States. It is a special space-age material, a polypropylene, where every fiber is put under nearly 200 tons of pressure. I don't know, that's a lot of weight. You can leave this out in the sun, the rain, the snow. Doesn't matter, it's weather resistant. They make swimming pool covers out of it because it's UV resistant. I use it because you can't stretch it out. You land anywhere on it, it supports your foot and lifts you straight up. You alter the angle of your body a little bit, it doesn't throw you off, it lifts you straight up. So it gives you the support which we need. We talked about the springs. The springs do not connect directly into the frame like with typical mini trampolines rebounders. I drill 36 holes through the frames, put steel pins through each hole, connect the springs to the pins so the frame will last virtually forever. I want this to be the last piece of exercise equipment I ever need to invest in. The legs don't screw on, so you don't have to constantly tighten them down. Or get stripped or stuck or lost. These sit over a steel post held in place by heavy-duty piano wire. Best wire you can get. And even the rubber tips aren't rubber. They're polymer. The last 3 years, we've never worn one of our rubber tips out. All right, I'm ready to demonstrate Cellerciser. I just need to change into my Cellerciser outfit. So, if you'll pardon me a moment. Okay. All right, as I stand here, I weigh approximately 160 pounds, or 1 G. That is the weight of gravity. As I start to move just this high, I no longer weigh 160 pounds at the bottom of the bounce. I now weigh closer to 200 pounds, or 1.25 Gs. Now we can measure that with a G meter. Do you know what a G meter is? Yeah. Many of you have one in your own home. You get up in the morning, walk into the bathroom, step on it, look down at the needle, and some people even call it by name. Oh, G. That's a G meter, or bathroom scale. If I were to take that G meter or bathroom scale, put it on the Cellerciser, and then jump up and down on it, what would happen to the needle on the scale? Yeah, it would fluctuate, creating the greatest amount of weight at the bottom of the bounce. Well, we know that 160 pounds comes from the weight of gravity. Where does the other 25% of additional weight that I am putting on my body, where's that coming from? Thank you. Very good. The forces of acceleration and deceleration. See, as I jump up and come down, I load the springs. That's known as the force of deceleration. The loaded springs that push me back up, that's known as the force of acceleration. Whenever you add the forces of acceleration and deceleration on the same vertical plane as gravity, you end up creating an entirely new G-force that all the cells of your body are constantly being exposed to. So the question then becomes, what happens to the cells of your body when you alter or change the G-force? Well, part of that was illustrated nicely by NASA, who discovered when the astronauts are in outer space for just 2 weeks, they can lose up to 15% of their bone and muscle mass, simply because they do not have the G-force or weight of gravity. They're floating around, the minerals in their bones go right out the bloodstream, the proteins go right out the body. The body doesn't have a need to maintain that strength. All exercise is trying to reverse that by increasing the weight. When the astronauts are up there in outer space for 2 to 3 months and they come down, they're not even allowed to stand up. They're helped out with a stretcher because the whole body's atrophied. NASA had to find a way to apply a weight-bearing exercise that wasn't limited to muscle groups or body parts like conventional exercise. What if they missed a part that was important? They had to create a weight-bearing exercise that was on the entire body. They did their research on trampolines, published their findings in the Journal of Applied Physiology in 1980. It was their research that led to the development of the Cellerciser. Even doctors know bones and muscles heal faster and grow stronger when exposed to some stress. That's the idea behind the walking cast. Well, as I stand here on the Cellerciser and I start to move up and down, how many cells in my body are moving up and down with me?
All of them?
Yeah, 75 trillion. Very good. Which means, if I were to ask any physical therapist, what is the formula for strength? They're going to say it's stress times repetition. You stress a certain part, function, or muscle group over and over until it adapts by becoming stronger. Well, since all 75 trillion cells are moving up and down with me and coming down at the bottom of the bounce with more weight on them, what are the cells going to have to do to compensate for the weight?
Change.
Yeah, how? What are the cells going to have to do?
Put more proteins in the memory.
There you go. They're going to have to get stronger, because if they didn't, I'd eventually get shorter and shorter and shorter. You get the general idea. It's weight bearing, but the weight is not limited. It's on the entire musculoskeletal system. All right. Let me talk to you a little bit about my program, what I do. When I wake up in the morning, every morning, I get on the Cellerciser and I do what I call the baby bounce, or health bounce. It's kind of interesting because anywhere in the world when you see a baby first stand up in the crib, they have a tendency to hold on to the bar of the crib, and what do? They bounce. Are they born with balance? No. They're not born with balance. They bounce them down the crib. We get, when they get to a certain age, they get out of the crib and they graduate. Now what do they jump on? The couch or the bed. And what do we do? Yeah, we tell them to get off. I tell people if we knew better, if we knew better, not only would we encourage them to do it, we'd be up there doing it with them. But we do. We kick them off. They begin to dance. Have you ever noticed how young people dance? Anywhere in the world? They're jumping up and down off the ground, let alone the walls, as they're getting exercise. But we get to a certain age in our culture, and what happens? We begin to live a horizontal existence, don't we? We stop bouncing them down. Well, even our dance becomes horizontal. And as we do this horizontal movement day after day, year after year, with gravity always pulling what direction, what happens to the internal organs? They start to drop because we stop putting weight on the connective tissues inside that help support and strengthen them and keep them protected. And so those internal organs, connective tissues, even ligaments, they start to get weaker and the body becomes more susceptible to damage or injury. One of the reasons boxers do a lot of jump roping as they're bouncing up and down and all the internal organs are moving up and down, it starts to strengthen the connective tissue surrounding the brain. The purpose is so when they get hit in the head, the brain doesn't crash against the skull, causing a knockout. So it helps to support the body from the inside out. We're going to come back to that. All right. Let me share with you another exercise. It's called Cellerobics. We're all familiar with the term aerobics, aren't we? Aerobic simply means all the cells of your body need oxygen in order to convert nutrients into energy. They receive the oxygen from the oxygen delivery system, which we call the cardiovascular pulmonary system. That's made up of your heart, lungs, arteries, capillaries, and veins. So an aerobic exercise is virtually any activity that stimulates this system to more efficient oxygen delivery. Now, most of us know that walking is as good as an aerobic exercise as running. In some ways, it's better. It just takes longer. But would this qualify as an aerobic exercise? And notice the hips are allowed to drop down into the mat instead of hitting against a hard surface. How about this? Does this qualify? So even if I were blind, I could get all the exercise I needed without running into anything or anybody. We have a balance bar you can hold on to now as well. But if you want to train for a special athletic event, there's nothing to stop you from doing this. You do this for a few minutes, you'll have steam coming out of your eyeballs. It's a vigorous aerobic activity, but it left a few things out, such as barking, biting dogs, rain puddles, potholes, carbon monoxide poisoning, curbs, mailboxes, rollerbladers that jump out of nowhere. Study conducted by University of Utah concluded that trampolining helped to eliminate as much as 7/8 of the ballistic impact or jar to your skeletal system compared to running on a hard surface. So it also helped to reduce or eliminate the concerns of ankle problems, knee problems, shin splints, and lower back problems. And we've replaced some of the negatives of aerobic activity with some of the more comfortable elements, such as being at home with the family, with the radio on, the television, the air conditioning, or the heater, or simply a lock on the door for safety and privacy. And notice, one size fits all feet. So if you're not using it, your spouse can. If they're not, your children can. If they're not, grandma and grandpa can. Let me ask you an important question. How many people need aerobic activity, thanks Ken, in their day-to-day lives? How many people need the jar of hitting a hard surface?
Nobody.
Now, Dr. J. Schmidt is quoted in Dr. Morton Walker's book, he's a member of the American Medical Association, as saying, jogging can kill you. It takes far more out of the body cumulatively than it's ever going to give you in return. So it's fun, it's a sport, it's great, but know that the jarring is not a healthy condition. All right, the next exercise, what I call the strength balance for building up muscle mass and bone density. We generally think of a strength exercise as a muscular activity, don't we? If I want to strengthen the bicep, I do curls. I do a certain number of repetitions for a certain period of time until I get to a plateau, and I increase the weight, maintain the repetition, and the muscles continue to get bigger and stronger because of the increased amount of weight, right? Okay, we already determined that Cellerciser is a weight-bearing exercise, and that the weight is on every cell membrane every time we come down to the bottom of the balance over 100 times a minute. So if I were Cellercising and I wanted to increase the weight to my body, so the muscles and the bones and skin, how do you get a skin cell to do a push-up? You have to put it under weight. How do you do that? You Cellercise. Collagen's a protein fiber too. Okay, so I'm Cellercising and I want to increase the weight to this body while Cellercising. What do I do? Yeah. Wow. You're right. You're good. Jump higher. It's simple. You see, the higher I jump, the faster I come down. The faster I come down, the more I load the springs. The more I load the springs, the greater the force of deceleration. The greater the force of deceleration, the greater the force of acceleration. You add the increased deceleration with the increased acceleration all at the bottom of the bounce, you have a whole new G-force.
Okay.
I'm not going to repeat it, but suffice it to say, at that height I weigh nearly 2 G. That's twice the gravitational pull of the Earth. That means every cell has to start to adapt by becoming that much stronger. Because again, if it did not get eventually that much shorter. Okay, I've been saving the best for last. It's great to have strong muscles. It's wonderful to have endurance. But I think, and this is the most important reason I believe you're here, or the most important reason I'm here to share with you, it's most important we have our health, isn't it? When we have our health, we can pursue our wealth, and we can enjoy it. But when we lose our health, we expense our wealth trying to get our health back again. I think that's what makes what I'm about to share with you essential that we do on a day-to-day basis. And I learned about it through a daughter of mine. I remember many years ago I was on the Cellerciser bouncing up and down, and my daughter was still in the crib. And I looked over, and she's in the crib watching her daddy jump up and down, and she starts to do this. And she's bouncing up and down. And I noticed her from that point on doing it all the time. And I began to remember and think to myself, that's universal, anywhere in the world. you'll see a baby have a tendency to hold on to the crib, and then they start to bounce. The movement up and down, well, it's very important. In fact, they get out of the crib, they don't stop bouncing up and down. They graduate now. What do they jump on? The bed. Or a couch. That's universal, guys. It's anyone in the world. They'll jump up, down, couch, or bed, and we kick them out. It's important. Balance. Their balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination has nothing to do with age. We're not born with any of that. They are physiological functions. And as we challenge them, we improve them. And when we stop challenging them, when we become more and more tentative, then we begin to lose it more and more and more. I had a lady call me up, and many of you have heard me share this with you, and she was praying because she'd been on the Cellerciser for 3.5 weeks. She calls me up, she's in Linden, Utah, and she says, David, you should have seen me yesterday. I was on top of my rooftop repairing my own shingles, and you should have seen the neighbors. She was 91 years of age.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't end. Many of you have seen some of these articles. This lady here began in her 80s. By the time she was in her 90s, she was skiing again at 101. She features her 101st birthday included toboggan rides. Her daughter became one of my customers in her 80s, I think. This one here, this lady heard me on the radio. She starts to Cellercise. 3.5 months later, calls up Seattle Times newspaper and says, you've got to get this information out to the public. Seattle Times had no idea what she was talking about. They'd never heard of Cellercise. But in the course of the conversation, they said, well, how old are you? And Rosemary says, well, I'm 94. They said, where do you live? So they went and put her on the front cover of Section E of the Seattle Times newspaper. She's sitting there on her Cellerciser telling her story. She sends me a copy of the article with a 2-page letter saying, David, I really think this saved my life. And she goes on to tell me why. And then she says that since the printing of that article, the Seattle Times had more requests for copies and duplications of that article than of any other article they had ever printed. Yeah, that's a powerful testimonial. We've got, let me just take a moment and read a couple that I had pulled aside. I hope they didn't. Yeah, this guy here. This is kind of funny. I met this guy several years ago, and when I met him, he was here in Utah, and he had a television show. It was called Fluid. And he'd heard about me and wanted to interview me. And so I went and I met him. We did the interview. It was fine. I didn't think much about it. He got a Cellerciser after the interview, started to use it. And he writes this letter. He says, I cannot fully express my delight and amazement with the Cellerciser. Initially, I looked at it with some skepticism, but thought it would make a great, interesting piece for my television show, especially with Dave's individual energy. I was not, however, expecting such a life-altering personal experience. I've come from 215 pounds, 24% fat, to 180 pounds, 13%, with visible loss of girth. He was from England. Visible loss of girth, but increase in lean muscle. The overall effects of both body image and lifestyle have been astounding. This all while recovering from a broken leg! Exclamation point. It has the effect of not only toning muscles, but making one's efforts worthwhile. One naturally starts seeking out time to balance and modifying diet easily and repeatedly. It also is by far the most organic of any of the machines I have tried, in that one can put as much into a session as one wishes, and even when tired, a few minutes of maintenance bouncing can be achieved with ease, yet the benefits are manifold. With just a little consistency, this device has become a friend, and he's right. It becomes one of your best friends. Inasmuch as I take it on remote shoots to hotels, etc., and cannot imagine life before, and certainly not without. You're welcome to read some of these testimonials. All right, 2 more things. The lymphatic system. Let's talk about that. That's what keeps us alive and healthy. The lymphatic system, very, very important. It's a circulatory system that works its way throughout your entire body. But it's a system of tubes that rather than carry blood, it carries lymphatic fluid, which is basically water, away from tissue spaces of the body and back into the bloodstream. It makes this whole circuit. The lymphatic tubes begin in the lymphatic terminals. They're located in the toes, the fingertips, and other extremities of the body, kind of like the branches of an oak tree working their way backwards. Well, the lymphatic system works its way up to other small lymph vessels toward the lymph nodes, where the lymphatic fluid is clean, and then larger lymph vessels or branches carry the lymphatic fluid back up toward what's called the thoracic duct, the trunk of the tree, if you will, your largest lymph vessel, and then through the venous cava area through what's called the subclavian left veins or roots, and then back into the bloodstream. It's made a circuit. The lymphatic system, there's nearly 3 times as much lymphatic fluid in the body than there is blood. When the lymphatic system is circulating properly, it has the ability to flush or suck out toxins, poison, metabolic waste, which leads to stress, distress, breakdown in communication, poor health, pre-aging, degenerative diseases, even death. Everybody know what a lymphocyte is? I know many of you do now. Anybody know who Captain America is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, your lymphocytes are kind of like your Captain Americas. They are literally representative of the 1% of the cells of your body devoted to your civil defense. Those lymphocytes are devoted to keeping you alive and healthy. They utilize the lymphatic system to move throughout the body, seeking out and destroying viruses, germs, bacteria, fungus, dead cells, mutant cells, cancer cells, and other foreign invaders. Dr. Arthur C. Guyton, in his book Medical Physiology, points out that if the lymphatic system were to stop circulating for just 24 hours, guess what? Yeah, we wouldn't be here. Which means that the lymphatic system is not circulating as well as it needs to be, given our current environment and the conditions that we are now being exposed to. We're all going to be more prone to what?
Illness.
Yes, disease and illness. And according to a number of lymphologists and doctors, if the lymphatic system were circulating as well as it potentially can, which means there's a lot of potential, it would be almost impossible to get sick. Well, if that's the case, then I want to make sure that that lymphatic system is circulating as well as it possibly can. I was in California one year and the term lymphatic pump came up, and I thought that was rather interesting. Is there anybody here that knows what the lymphatic pump is? If the lymphatic system has to circulate to keep us alive and healthy and work and clean out our internal body with the body, where's the pump? The lungs?
It's the exercise we use.
The exercises with you? You're all close. Yeah, it doesn't have a pump. Unlike the cardiopulmonary circulatory system, it is dependent upon pressure changes occurring within the body. Breathing can do it, walking can do it, stretching can do it. People have a tendency to stretch. Animals have a tendency to stretch. So pressure causes those one-way valves to open and shut, moving the lymphatic circulation. Well, when we understand that, we begin to appreciate the dynamics of the Cellerciser. As I get on the Cellerciser and I start to move up and down, can anybody see the blood vessel here pumping? Can you see it? Good. Last time we did this, it was harder to see for some reason. Those pressure changes that are on the blood vessels are also on millions of one-way valves in the lymphatic system. See, as I move up and down, the lymphatic system, millions of one-way valves start sucking. Lymphatic system holds a negative pressure, so if they start sucking, okay, and all this sucking starts to move fluid in between the tissue spaces and the bones and the joints. And so as you're starting to move this fluid through the suction, within a few minutes you have a whole circuit of fluid starting to move through the whole body, cleaning out the environment. If you could look at your blood underneath the microscope when you first woke up, and then look at it 3 minutes later after you Cellercise, you would never not start a day without Cellercising. Instead of sticky blood, the cells have a tendency to come together, especially when we're not moving much at night. And there's a lot of reasons for that. When you get on the Cellerciser, you begin to break the blood cells apart. You open up the lymphatic, you increase oxygen blood flow to the cells, the circulation starts to move more efficiently. I get on the Cellerciser for 2 to 3 minutes every morning. When I start to move up and down like this, I'll notice any puffiness around the eyes disappear in about 2 to 3 minutes. Because I'm getting all the circulation moving again. It's a jump start for the morning. 2 to 3 minutes of the baby bounce, then I do the aerobic exercise. I count to the 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I go up to 100 doing that, and that's done. And then I do my calisthenics. When I began, and this was a vanity thing. Okay, I wanted to flatten the stomach, and I didn't have good balance, so I held onto a door jamb. You have to reach out and grab the door jamb and do it while inside the wall. Wasn't very convenient. So now we have a balance bar you can hold onto. turn, I generally hold onto with one hand, tilt backwards a little bit. The moment I tilt, guess what these muscles do? Yes, it's an isometric. Okay, I mentioned Cellerciser isometric, isotonic, calisthenic, aerobic, and conditioning, flexibility without ever stretching. Okay, we're going to come to that. As I tilt backwards, all these muscles are tight. They're going to stay that way for about a minute. But I want to increase the weight to these muscles so I can build them up. So isometric, toning, isotonic, building. Grabbing that balance bar, instead of just doing a sit-up, which limits the effect only to a certain group of muscles here, I tilt backwards and I kick my legs out like this. And now every time I come down, I'm putting a lot more weight here than I was when I was just doing this here. And if you want to tighten underneath the chin, take that 15-pound head and tilt it backwards. Now every time I come down, all the muscles in the neck have to hold my head up. So they get tighter and stronger too. Anybody have love handles? Anybody love them? I didn't either. One of the hardest ones to figure out. Okay, holding on to the balance bar, I simply kick my legs outside to side, just like this. Every time I come down, I'm putting the weight right there. That's much more intense than just lifting your weight away from gravity. How many other muscles of my body are also working as I move? You are so much stronger when your body is exercising in a totally balanced state than you are when you're exercising certain parts of the body. We're going to share that with you in a moment. Strengthen the lower back and the buttocks, lean forward, hold on to the balance bar from my hips. They simply kick back. Every time I come down, the weight is right there. I'm going to show you the second most important physical activity we can do. Most important, baby bounce. Get rid of the trapped blood proteins, open up the circulation, improve circulation in the lower extremities, lift the heels up and down. It works the calf muscle. Calf muscle has been called the second heart. Every time the heels come up and down, and you're helping to pump with the heart anyway, which makes it easier on the heart. The calf muscles flex and feed circulation back up to the heart, helping to get rid of edema, swelling, and varicose veins. So the moving up and down can help with circulation in the lower extremities, which is the furthest area from the heart. It helps. Okay. Second most important. How many eat? Yeah, we all eat food, don't we? Do you know we're told up to 80% of Americans are going to have poor digestion elimination processes? And yet most of our nutrients, even when we take it through Q96, most of our nutrients are absorbed not from the stomach. That's right, it's from the intestines. So I eat every day. Every day I put my intestines through a little washing machine to improve digestion elimination. Simply by spreading the feet apart, bending at the knee a little bit, lifting the heels up and down, and every day I do this gentle twist. I'm on the mat the whole time, but as I move up and down, I am taking my colon and my intestines, I'm massaging them up and down, side to side. I'm also taking and loosening the lower back, which feels really good, by the way, especially after that long drive. As you loosen the lower back, see, that's very important. Most people don't know how to imbibe the disc with synovial fluid or circulation. We've had a doctor who understands what I'm saying. Gravity creates compression. And gravity alone, when you have stress or tension on the disc begin to lose circulation. We don't get natural circulation to the disc after we're about 18 to 20 years old. If we're not doing movement, then those discs begin to shrink. We get more pressure on the nerve, less flexibility in the back. We want to open up the vertebrae, increase circulation to the disc, but most people don't know how to do it. See, when you increase circulation to the disc, it's like taking a sponge that doesn't have enough water and giving it more water. What happens to the sponge?
Makes it bigger.
That's what the disc can do as well. And so as I gently twist and I'm loosening up those muscles, I'm also helping to increase circulation to the disc. It takes the liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, adrenals. Every day it massages them. Up and down, side to side, which helps to improve the efficiency of the internal organs. Most people in about 3 weeks feel like a whole different person. Anybody want to lose weight? I have women who've gotten rid of cellulite in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Anybody want to see this? This is intense. I had a doctor tell me he took one look at this movement. He said, David, that's so intense it'll grow new capillaries. This is intense. You want to lose weight quickly, you want to use the biggest muscles of the body. The biggest muscles of the body have the greatest demand to give us the fastest results. Where are the biggest muscles found? Yes, thighs and buttocks. Most aerobic exercises will utilize those muscles. But you can't do this on anything other than a Cellerciser. You could seriously hurt yourself. And it's done like this. You keep your back straight, your feet flat, bend at the knee. The weight is right here. Don't bend forward. If I bend forward, I take the weight off. I put it on the back. The back doesn't do anything. We want to use these muscles because they're the muscles that work. So we keep our back straight, feet flat. You run as fast as you can. We call it the Jamba run. As fast as you can without lifting your feet up off the mat. You're pushing down into the mat. And there's nobody here that's going to be able to do this for 30 seconds without breathing. Done just like this. Now when you're done, and this will generate a lot of heat. These muscles are big. They're eating up the sugars and the glucose within the bloodstream very quickly. And when you do repetitions of it, you're done with the first set. You stand there, lift the heels up and down, pump the calf muscle, increase oxygen, blood flow back to the thighs, priming them for your next set. You can do it again. But there's no, you've eaten up the sugars. Now what do you go after? Fat. The stored calories. So you do repetitions of it. There's a great command here. The body has to start to burn the calories. Hips in or out of thigh, laterally. Stand on the Cellerciser. Step side to side. This is all being done with the hips, thighs, and knees. Works both sides of the knee. This one here, if you like to go skiing, same burning thing you would have if you were on the slopes. Is there anybody here who is a dancer, yoga instructor, bodybuilder, martial artist? No one? Are you?
Martial arts.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Come on up.
No love it.
All right. What I'm going to demonstrate here is I want you to just turn around, spread the feet apart, bend to the knees a little bit, put your hands in front of you like this, elbows into the side. I'm going to push down on your hands. You know that's a horse stance, right?
Yes.
Okay. As I push down on your hands, I want you to attempt to not move. Just resist me. Don't let your arms move. Don't let your body move. We're going to see how well you can utilize your strength and balance right now. Okay? Okay, elbows into your sides. Good. Just like that. Remember that position. Hold real stiff. Okay, ready? As I push down, you resist. Okay, try again. As hard as you can. Ready? Okay, resist. Now as I push down, you're coming forward, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, come up on this Cellerciser. What's your name?
Emily.
Emily. David. It's a pleasure to meet you. Emily, take your hands. I want you to put them on the trapezius muscles right up here. Hold on to these muscles. These are the muscles that help hold up our posture. They're also the muscles that we get a lot of stress and tension in. So holding on to these muscles with your fingertips, I want you to bounce up and down. And can you feel the weight on those muscles as they're expanding and contracting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of weight. At that height, she's taking about 20% of her body weight, putting it on top of her. She's doing over 100 of these a minute. But instead of pushing the weight away from gravity, she's increasing the weight of gravity.
Yay.
So let's see what's going on with the rest of the muscles. Grab the deltoids, the shoulder muscles with your fingertips. Hold on to the muscles.
I don't know if I can.
You got them? Okay, kind of squeeze them. Oh, you can drop your arms down a little bit.
Right.
But good. Now bounce up and down. Can you feel the muscles flexing?
Yeah.
Is it a little bit or a lot?
Like a lot.
You want to know how to open up shoulders, increase flexibility and strengthen the shoulder again, increase circulation. But it's also weight bearing. A lot of weight. Keep going. There's a lot going on inside your body right now that I don't have time to go through a lot of it. But those muscles are working. Now people say, how do you build up a bicep? Jumping up and down on a Cellerciser. They just put weight on it. Yeah, but how do you do that Cellerciser? You see, they're still thinking muscular, not cellular. Because there's cells in the muscle, right? Yeah? Put more weight on the cells, the muscles get bigger? Yeah? Okay, watch. Grab the biceps with your fingertips, hold on to the muscle, bounce up and down. Can you feel the weight on the muscle?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're either going to flop to the bottom of the mat, or they're going to have to become more resistant to the weight that's on them. And that's what they do. Now take your hands, dig them around your waist, dig into the stomach muscles, any muscles in there with your fingertips. Feel the muscles in there.
Yes.
Can you feel them flexing?
Yep.
Too easy, isn't it? Isn't it wild? She's doing over 100 sit-ups a minute. At the same time she's doing over 100 of these a minute, she's still doing over 100 of these a minute. She's giving herself a facial. She doesn't need it, but her facial muscles are going to get stronger to compensate for the weight that's on her, as well as the skin cells and collagen. Her internal organs are moving up and down. The connective tissue surrounding them has to firm up. She's not favoring one side of the body over the other. This is totally unique to Cellerciser. It doesn't matter whether it's yoga, Pilates, martial arts, those are great. but they're never, you want to do this with those activities because this will help you have a better experience with yoga. Yoga is phenomenal, but it's still treating the body as parts. When she's moving up and down, her body is expanding, contracting collectively, together. So the whole body is totally balanced. Let's see if there's any difference in her strength and balance. Let's step back down, take the same position. Okay, elbows on the side. And tell me if this has any implication in martial arts or golf or baseball or any other activity you do. All right, get ready? You resist.
Look at her.
Tell them. Is that amazing?
That was unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Okay, and you'll hold on. You will hold on to that strength for hours until one of two things starts to happen. Your natural imbalances begin to expose themselves. This is very important. Her natural imbalances will begin to expose themselves again. Or if she hits a hard surface, aerobic impact sport, and she's not strong in a balanced condition, she's just balanced. You want to get strong in a balanced condition, it takes about 3 months of Cellerciser. Then you become strong at, well, let me demonstrate. You and I bounce up and down on the ground for 20 seconds. Anybody have a watch?
I can get one day.
I have one.
She's got one.
Is it right? Okay, well, no, you can't do it. You're going to be bouncing with me. Tell me when. Anybody? Okay, all right, ready? Let's jump up and down on the ground. Up. Yeah, aerobic impact sport. You're hitting hard surfaces, just like typical aerobic activities. Yeah. And as you hit a hard surface, guess what? You shatter the nervous system. That you those vibrating machines do that too. As you shatter the nervous system, okay, the muscles tense up. They expose all your natural imbalances again. So take the same position, and I want you to try just as hard as you did last time. You tell me if you notice any difference in your strength and balance now. Okay, ready? Okay, resist. Now as I push down. Ready? Okay, do it again. Okay, resist. I'm just pushing straight down. Now, I want you to do it to me, because I was jumping right alongside of you. Go ahead. Just completely balanced. Now, get back on the Cellerciser, because I don't want to leave her on that stage. And you know, what are the implications? We don't even understand it all yet. But when you're moving up and down in all your internal organs, your nervous system, the proprioceptors, which regulate balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination, the large degree of brain activity, 80%, 90% of your brain activity is being stimulated while you do different movements on the Cellerciser. Hardening of the arteries is the #1 degenerative disease. As you're moving up and down, it's opening up blood vessels because you saw the veins that were moving. If I flex the arm, they don't do anything. If I hit them or walk around, they don't do anything. But the moment I get on the Cellerciser, I start to open up blood vessels, increasing circulation through all areas of the body. How are you going to get that in your normal day-to-day activity? Okay, let's gently step down. Take the same position. We'll do it again.
Go, Emily.
And you could, you know, as long as she doesn't hit a hard surface, you can do this 3 hours from now. She's still going to be strong. Okay, ready? Okay, you resist. I'm going to push down. Resist.
Look at her.
Look at her.
Are there any questions that I can answer real quick? I don't know what time it is. I probably went over it.
Impressed. I agree with everything you said. Except to run a marathon, you have to build endurance. So could you have the same kind of endurance from just exercising?
Yes, you can build up the same kind of endurance Cellercising, but you want to train on a hard surface also, because there's a jarring effect that your body. You want to incorporate both. You Cellercise, train some, come back and Cellercise. Because when you hit a hard surface, if you want to have a long what is it? A long...
The stamina?
Gosh, what am I thinking? A long history, a long opportunity to jog. You want training, you just want to be able to do it for several years. Get the synovial fluid and that circulation back in the bones and joints and balance the body again after you're done.
Same with weightlifting then.
Yeah, weightlifting is a little different. Weightlifting, I'm glad you brought that up. Weightlifting tears down to build up. It's a sport. It's not really an exercise per se. People do it, but it's a sport. It's not. You'll never see a monkey, dog, cat, or anybody else out there pumping iron to the weight through it or doing these activities. It's not natural. It's a manipulation of the body. When you tear down to build up, you will build up muscles, but they're not healthy muscles. You've damaged them. what happens is you tear the muscle, and now the body, they tell you to do it every other day because the body literally has to heal itself. It needs time to do that. And so now it goes and there's cells that you probably destroyed. They've got to be taken care of, and the cells that survive the tear, you get these proteins that go in and try to repair or patch them. And so you build up these muscles. But the muscle loses, especially when you do it to extremes, it loses flexibility, timing, speed, coordination. Again, no massage therapist or anybody here. Come on up here for a second.
David, while you're doing that too, will call's going to be shut down about 10-15 minutes. If anybody needs anything, make sure you grab it before they go. Okay.
Oh, awesome.
I want you to take your fingers. I want you to watch this. I want you to squeeze, really take your fingers and squeeze that muscle like that. Is that weird?
It's really weird.
It is.
Like it is.
You can almost push directly into the bone there. It is weird.
It's soft and...
It is. Hold on, I don't want to feel it now. Feel it now. Okay.
Oh, it's so good.
Very cute. I don't want to, again, traumatize anybody, but those, if you look at a cat or a dog, and you look at their muscles when they're laying down to relax, they're just like this. They're very, very soft. You can almost push into their bone. But when they need to use them, they're also very strong. I had a doctor take one look at my muscle. I happened to come up in front of a whole group of people. You know him, Dr. John Graven, I'm from Mars, one from Venus. Came up and he's feeling this muscle, like this, his relaxing muscle, I relax it. And I didn't know what he was going to do. In fact, he taught me this. He says, when I'm feeling this muscle, he said, now flex it, now flex it. He said, it's the healthiest muscle I've seen.
Wow.
He'd read about muscles like him, he hadn't seen it. See, when you tear down to build up, you can also compromise ligaments and tendons because they take longer to catch up to the muscle. And so we have so many sports athletic injuries today because the ligaments and tendons are not strong enough to keep up with the muscles. Now, that being said, they did a study, Dr. Larry Gipman, PhD, at the National Aerobics Institute in Seattle, Washington, where they showed if you incorporated 30 seconds of Cellercising between each station when you are weight training, you can grow up to 26% faster in your overall results. That's huge. You flush out the lactic acid quickly, you increase oxygen and blood flow, and you are stronger when you do your next set anyway, just like you were.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So can we get some quick takeaways really fast?
Okay.
In the months that I've been watching David, here's the takeaway. This is the portal entry into you, your loved ones, your practitioners, to so many people in your sphere of influence and in your contact list. Okay? And here's what David said that I have benefited so much from. Vertical living versus horizontal living. And people get that. When I say how many times it's doing up and down. And I don't jump on a hard surface. I leave my feet on the floor. Say, how many times are you doing this? And I start, and so the other thing is, that's a huge thing, because there aren't many vertical bungee jumpers around the world or whatever.
You look at the Watsusis, the Zulus,
Yeah,
the Aborigines,
they do
the
that,
Irish,
don't
they
they?
do incorporate vertical movement. It's a little different, but they do incorporate.
So the other part is, I can't keep a Cellerciser in the back seat of my car to get it home, because I share the video. If I can't get David and share him in person, then I'm sharing. A few times ago, he said, share the video. So I've got both the videos out there. And if one's better than the other, you've got to tell me, because both of them are selling them.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, thank you.
They're
both good. Well, that's good. The newer DVDs.
Because they're not as great as having people here. We've got this golden opportunity of getting people to David in person. But if you can't get there, then you've got the video.
Right.
So take them to your practitioner, and what is this piece of equipment linked to? Your entire array of Q Sciences products. It's incredible. It is such a great connect.
Thank you. The ability of your body to absorb nutrients increases as you move up and down and increases. Thank you. I thank all of you. I want everybody to experience this, so I'm going to step away. Feel free, if you've never been on a Cellerciser. I don't care about rebounders. They're different. Try a Cellerciser and see what the G forces are meant to do for the body and how it responds and supports you. So
So David, another really quick one.
Yes.
One of my team got reactivated. All she really has been using is the Q96, and it's serving her very well. She purchased this. She's done 2 days with it, and she literally has a 9-year-old daughter that's adopted from China, a lot younger than the other siblings, and she has a challenge with bladder control. And the thing that I remembered that David said as a point was, it's working with every cell of your body. So I made the connection and leap to, okay, as she is doing this, because she's seeing Mama do it, she will be interested, and every cell in her body. So I'm thinking, I extrapolated from that, or I drew the conclusion that it's going to strengthen her bladder control and build bladder wall. So you just start thinking in terms of what's that doing in your life and your loved ones' lives and the people that you care about, and you've got the links right there. You don't have to have anything memorized. Just make the linkage from the main points David shares with us. It's awesome.
Thank you.
David, when you're not here, Meredith is taking over.
There you go. That's right, Meredith.
In fact, David, could you get off now and let
Please feel free to try it. If you know people, we've had people with all kinds of conditions, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, that have had tremendous results with migraine headaches. Lady suffers since 1958. For the first time since 1958, she's migraine-free. She does it 20 minutes. And if she ever feels a migraine coming on, she'll get on for 20 minutes. And it goes away. So she has an incredible story. So there's a lot of people that you know that can benefit from having healthier, stronger, more efficient cells.